Now, if you're newer to calisthenics and bodyweight training, you're working towards your first push-up, this is for you. I'm going to show you drills and exercises to use to achieve strong push-ups that work as a foundation to harder calisthenics skills like dips and eventually handstand push-ups. Let's break the push-up down into 3 different sections. So we've got the first section, which is the top support position. We have the transition, and then we have the bottom position. So let's first look at this top position. So this is like a plank. I'm holding with the shoulders on top of the hands, but the hands are actually slightly wider than my shoulders. I have my hands externally rotated, so I'm not got my fingers here, I've actually got them here. So the index finger is slightly pointing outwards. Now that external rotation is going to give us a stronger foundation compared to internal rotation. You can see this doesn't look very strong, so we want to set up with those hands a little bit wider than shoulders, fingers turned out, shoulders in line with the hands from the side profile, and then a straightish line from the shoulders to the feet. Things we want to avoid here is this, collapsing, both through the hips and through the shoulder blades. And also the opposite, we don't want the hips up too high in the air. And to condition that top position, we can do 2 things. We can work the scapular conditioning, so that's the shoulder blades. So I'm going to hold that position, I'm going to go between retraction, so bringing the shoulder blades together, and protraction, rounding the upper back. Notice that I'm just moving the shoulder blades, I'm not moving the hips. If you're new to this and you struggle with that movement, you might need to go down onto your knees. But again, moving through that protraction and retraction, keeping the arms straight. And then the other thing we can do is just hold this position for time. So we can build up capacity, conditioning and strength, be able to hold this for 30, 45 seconds quite comfortable. Ideally be able to hold a conversation. Again, if you're newer to it, you might need to start on your knees or elevate the hands. The higher you elevate the hands, the easier it is. Just make sure that the shoulder to feet is a straight line still and that you're not collapsing or sticking your hips too high. Now we can do exactly the same with the bottom position. I'm going to have my hands in exactly the same position. They're slightly wider than shoulders, that index finger turned out. And then ideally I'm going to hold with my chest, my hips, my knees and my chin all very, very close to the floor, but I've got no weight in them. If this is too hard, I can push the knees into the floor. Now notice the arms are into my side. I'm not flaring the arms out, I'm bringing them in. So I'm actually got contact between my upper arm and my torso. So there's some friction there. This is exactly the same position as we're aiming for when we go to harder movements like the dip. And again, I'll be working up to 30, 45 seconds in this position and just use knee assist if you need to, or again, raising the hands. And ideally, you should be able to hold a conversation while you're holding the position. Next, we can look at the transition between the top position and the bottom position. So starting in that strong plank, the shoulders on top of the hands slightly externally rotated, strong position, slowly lowering, arms coming into the side, all the way down until that bottom position, hold for a few seconds and then come back out. Now, obviously that's the down only, and we want to keep that strong position all the way through the pathway. If you find that your hips drop or you just go too fast, we can make it easier by lowering the knees to the floor throughout the movement. So I could have knees on the floor and slowly come down, or I could do exactly the same on the toes, but as soon as I feel like I'm losing control, I put the knees down. And then over time, I'm looking for a bigger range of motion where I'm on my toes and not getting the knee assist. Now, if that's comfortable and you have control, I'd also add the concentric in. Now, it might be that you need that knee assist on the way back up. So on the way down, you might go on your toes, then put the knees into the floor all the way back up. Then I would go back up and do the same thing again. Now, if you're doing the knee push up, both on the way up and on the way down, I would still go into that support position at the top for a few seconds, knees down, do your repetition, then knees up. Remember, we can elevate the hands, which makes the movement much easier. And if we get the height right, that will allow us to be on our toes instead of our knees. And this works really well if you're using something like a barbell on a squat rack that you can slowly lower as you get stronger until you can do it off the floor. Now, another way to give yourself a little bit of assistance when you're doing it to be able to do the toe push-ups on the floor is to use a band assist. So I'm going to put the band around the hips. I'm going to come into that top plank position, exactly the same as without the band. Show control, come down, kiss the floor lightly, push back up. Now this might allow you to get them on the toes, and then you can slowly decrease the height of the band or reduce the thickness of the band until you can do it without. I recommend most beginners are doing 2 to 3 sets of the holds at the top and the bottom for around that 15 to 30 second time. And then the push-up progression, the full movement that suits your current level, for 5 to 8 repetitions of 3 to 5 sets. Now once you've got a strong push-up, check out this video to work on the dip. And if you already watched the dip video, check out this video that YouTube recommends for you. If you're after more help with your training, check out my app on my website, link it down in the description, and I'll speak to you in the next one.